discussions with Rajan and the understanding of doing business in Africa and investing in technology, we are going to go straight through to the originally scheduled 11:30 and a presentation on the Red Sea Development Project. And this is going to be presented to us by Jay Rosen. He's Chief Executive Officer of the Red Sea Development Company, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Jay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. I do want to make a slight correction. I'm not the chief executive. I'm the chief financial officer of the project. But thank you for accommodating me. I actually just flew in this morning from Riyadh and have some commitments this afternoon. But I wanted to take this opportunity to showcase our project and share it with you. I'm a first-time expat. Been in Riyadh for the past 2 years now. And the reason I'm here is because the Red Sea Project is the largest, if not one of the largest, tourism projects in the world. I've got a short video to introduce the project and look forward to sharing more about it with you.
Experience an exquisite destination. Created in perfect harmony with the natural environment. A place where luxury meets adventure. Where body and spirit are restored. Where dreams take flight. A place beyond imagination, beyond expectation. Experience the Red Sea.
Thank you. So the Red Sea Project is one of the 3 giga projects as part of Vision 2030. Vision 2030 is the government's and the Crown Prince's strategic plan to diversify the economy away from fossil fuels and away from oil. Tourism plays a big part of that. We are the country's flagship tourism project to put the country on the international tourism map. At the heart of it, we're a luxury resort destination built around sustainability. We're enabled by Vision 2030. As I said, it's the strategic plan to diversify the country's economy. Tourism globally makes up about 10% of GDP. In Saudi, it's about 3.5%. That 3.5% is purely driven by religious tourism. There are about 20 million people a year that come to Mecca and Medina for religious tourism. Outside of that, there is no broader tourism industry. On top of that, there's estimated anywhere between $15 and $20 billion of outbound capital that leaves the country. That leaves the country. So the growth potential and the opportunity is tremendous. We're strategically located in the heart of the Middle East, the gateway to Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Our site is 28,000 square kilometers. We're the size of a small country. To put that in context, we're slightly smaller than Belgium. We're on the western coast of Saudi Arabia on the Red Sea, about 550 kilometers north of Jeddah. And because of where we're located in the region, we've got a very temperate climate. So as most of you know, most resort destinations have seasonality. If you're in the Caribbean and the Maldives or the French Pacific, you've got rainy season or hurricanes or typhoons. In the Middle East, if you're in Dubai or Jeddah or other parts of the Middle East, you've got humidity and extreme temperatures. We have neither, so we believe we will be able to offer the region's first year-round resort destination. We're focused on the luxury segment. We're focused on the luxury segment for a few reasons. One is because of our focus on sustainability. We have a very large site. It's 28,000 square kilometers. If we wanted to develop for development's sake, we could, but we're limiting the development potential of our site because we have a very fragile environment. And at the end of the day, we believe it's our environment is the main reason why guests would want to come and experience the destination. So we don't want to overbuild, we don't want to overdevelop, we don't want to destroy the environment. The other reason we're focused on the luxury segment is it is the most strategic segment of the tourism industry. It's growing much faster than the rest of the broader tourism industry, and because of their high disposable incomes, they have a propensity to travel more and spend more. But over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a shift in attracting that luxury segment. It used to be, providing luxury service was enough, but today's service has become an expectation. The luxury segment is looking for meaningful and responsible experiences, and they want to travel to responsible destinations. And that's where we think as a project, that's how we're going to appeal and attract to the luxury segment. So we talk about our constellation of experiences and the diversity of experiences across our site. Just with the natural environment, we're very rich in different experiences. The heart of our project and the jewel is this natural lagoon. We have 90 untouched islands. We have the fourth largest coral reef system in the world, and it's actually one of the few coral reef systems that is actually growing and thriving and not dying and bleached. And it's unique, given the temperatures in the region and the salinity of the water. Whatever the circumstances, it's quite unique that our coral is actually growing and thriving. And that's another reason why we want to be responsible stewards of the destination to protect. So when we talk about sustainability, it's not preserving and protecting the environment, but enhancing it as well. But in addition to the sun, sand, and beach within the islands, we have dormant volcanoes. We have mountains and rocks and sand dunes and desert and canyons. And we have access to Medina Sala, which was the southern capital of the Nabatean tribe. If you're familiar with Petra, we have the equivalent of their southern capital in Alula next to us. So just with the natural environment, without any development, we have this very rich ecosystem where we can offer guests sun, sand, and beach, but so much more: culture, adventure, and the like. And then through development, we have an opportunity to enhance that environment so guests can experience our offering in a unique and natural setting. Of course, as I said, sustainability is at the heart of everything we do. I've been involved with some very large projects earlier in my career. In fact, I was involved with the Baha Mar project in the Bahamas, which by all accounts was a big and complicated project. The Red Sea project is on steroids compared to Baha Mar and some of these other large projects. What you see here on the screen is the hawksbill sea turtle. The hawksbill sea turtle is a critically endangered species. 1 out of every 100 hawksbill sea turtles was born in and nests in our lagoon. We are the first developer to ever incorporate marine spatial planning into the master planning and programming of our development. What that effectively means is we've ascribed a conservation value to every different part of our lagoon, and that informed our program and our master plan such that over the next 20 years, after we've developed and gotten the assets up and running and operating, we will increase and enhance the biodiversity of our environment by upwards of 30%, compared to if you left it alone and didn't do anything at all. So this is an example where we're not just preserving and protecting the environment, but actually enhancing it. And when you look across the spectrum these are some of the initiatives that we're embarking upon to set new standards in sustainable development. So we have 90 islands. We're only developing 20, and we're leaving 75% of them untouched. We want to be carbon neutral. We want to be 100% renewable energy, not just by daytime, but by nighttime as well, without any connection to the grid. We're actually in the market right now with a very sizable utility package. We're expecting bids back at the end of January, but it is 100% renewable: solar, wind, geothermal, and battery backup storage. Nothing like that has ever been done for a project of this size or in this scale. We're incorporating LEED design into the design and the buildings of our hotels. We're fully aligned with all 17 UN SDG initiatives and goals. We want to be free of single-use plastics. And obviously, there's a huge socioeconomic impact from our development as well. So we're going to be creating 70,000 jobs, direct, indirect, and induced. We'll contribute about 100 billion real, about 25 billion US dollars to the economy through construction. And then once the destination is up and running, we'll be contributing 22 billion real on an ongoing annual basis. To monitor our impact on the environment, we are going to be developing a smart IT backbone. So the destination itself is a smart destination and a smart city. That way we'll be able to see in real time the impact we're having on the environment. But secondly, it doubles as a tool to enhance the guest experience. So we'll be able to use and leverage this IT backbone to enhance the guest experience. So virtual concierge services, a frictionless environment, cross-charging between properties, biometrics, AI, and the like. And then lastly, we've been designated as a special economic zone. There are only 2 projects in the kingdom that have this designation. The other is NEOM, which is one of the other giga projects. What that allows us to do is create a regulatory and legal framework that A, allows us to create an environment to attract international tourists with relaxed social norms. And the second is it allows us to create a business-friendly environment to make it friendly for investors, for lenders, and for hotel partners and other businesses that would do business in the destination. When you look at these 5 or 6 pillars, we believe this is what makes our project very unique from a positioning point of view. Obviously, hospitality is the anchor of the project. We're looking to provide a diversity of experiences, and while we're focused on the luxury segment, we've segmented out the luxury offering. We have our entry-level price point premium, which is about 30% of our inventory. Luxury segment, our core luxury segment, 60% of our inventory, and a small 10% for our hyper-luxury segment. Across those different offerings, we'll have different experiences. So there will be islands in the outer lagoon that will be developed as mono-island resorts that will promote privacy and exclusivity. There'll be other islands that will be developed as centralized hubs that will have a higher concentration of development and a larger amenity base. And there'll be some unique bespoke inland development sites that will leverage the unique nature of their environment, like the sand dunes and the dormant volcanoes. Fully built out, we're a fully integrated resort destination. The commercial components, hospitality, residential, retail, entertainment, we're developing it ourselves, although we're open to developing it in partnership. The reason we're developing it ourselves is because of sustainability. One rogue developer, one bad apple, if they have an accident in the lagoon or in the environment, it destroys the entire destination. So given how important the environment is and sustainability is, we want to retain control of that, and that's why we're developing the project ourselves. We're not selling parcels of land to other developers. However, we are open to joint venture partnership. Separately, the infrastructure, we are looking to the private sector. So we're looking to PPP or BOT and concession frameworks to leverage the private sector. So I referenced the utility package that's in the market right now. We have 5 international consortiums that are bidding on this very significant package. We'll leverage their capital, their expertise, and they'll be the utility provider, and we'll be the consumers through an offtake agreement. Fully built out, we're 50 hotels, 8,000 hotel keys, about 1,300 residential units, and all the amenities and resort activities you would expect. In addition to that, we have to build all the infrastructure, so we're building a coastal village to house all the employees and their dependents that will be there to support the destination. That coastal village will house about 35,000 employees and their dependents, and in that coastal village, we'll have accommodation, healthcare, education, and the like. Our first phase, we've been designing for the better part of a year and a half or 2 years, and we've already broken ground, is 14 hotels, about 3,000 hotel rooms, a small residential component, an international airport sized to about 1 million passengers, and all of the supporting infrastructure. We're up on site now. We're undertaking work for a 10,000 unit labor camp for the construction village. We're building a small 150-room management hotel for our team and when we have guests up on site. And the early part of the new year, we'll break ground to go vertical on the commercial assets. So I kind of ran through it because someone was running around in the back pressing me on time, but wanted to, again, highlight our project. It's a very ambitious project. Unfortunately, I have to run, but my colleagues with Invest Saudi and Sagi are here to answer any questions, and they can obviously get in touch with me if anyone wants to reach out. But thank you very much for this opportunity, and look forward to hosting you in 2022 when we open our initial phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. That seems to me to be a very exciting development in the Red Sea, and it brings, I know, a great many questions to mind on all manner of subjects affecting the development. However, I think that can be called a taster session, and we hope that we can welcome Jay back on a future occasion to the conference to spend a bit more time and open up to questions. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to go back on our schedule to understanding of the fundamental aspect of doing business in Africa, and I have great pleasure in inviting Mr. Dimitri Lessini to the stage, who is a partner of Leighton's LLP, solicitors and lawyers. Thank you.
So the biggest hurdle was just overcome, not tripping on the steps. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. I just can't express the very real pleasure and honor to be here today. The last 2 days have been illuminating, and I've heard positive, inspirational, professional and dignified messages from all concerned. It really is very, very impressive. I just hope, right. This talk is based on 30 years or more, and more of advising international clients. It's expressed in the way a lawyer expresses himself, so please excuse the absence of optimism, positivity, and it's just reality and caution and risk averse. But to put it in perspective, it's the way I speak to all clients, because it's a hard-nosed business, and you each speak very, very different languages. And the interesting and the most important thing is that the investor has to understand what you have achieved, and you have to understand what the investor requires. First, as an investor, the most important thing is due diligence. You have to check. You have to read. You have to check. You have to consider the various elements that your investment requires. And there's a few publications. I mentioned one, which is, if I can read it from here, the World Doing Business by the World Bank. And that basically just lists all the countries and the facility of doing business and investment in that particular country. The next thing is, and it was expressed on a number of occasions yesterday, was the political uncertainty. And this is not about a specific African country, because 50, 54 dependent territories, etc. This is trying to put myself into the shoes of the investor. And one of the ministers mentioned yesterday the issue of perception. The Western press is very good at highlighting problems and difficulties overseas without giving too much regard on what happens here. And that's wrong, but it's life, and we have to deal with it. Now, one of the key things in the element of risk, political risk, is the issue of these so-called bilateral investment treaties. Now, BITS, it's not cryptocurrency, it's nothing like that, it's just an acronym. It gives protection. It gives protection in law, and it gives protection in image, and it gives protection through the World Bank and the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. Each country, so check with your host country, see what other countries it has these bits with. The UK, for example, has 117 bits. Use the resources of your home state. It will have an embassy or a high commission. Speak to the commercial, speak to the commercial attaché. Understand where there is any risk and see what you can do. Now, the first question is, whenever you approach an investment, and this perhaps is the most important, who are you dealing with? Are you dealing with a government agency? Are you dealing with a non-government agency? Are you dealing with a corporate entity? Make sure whoever you're dealing with has the power to enter into an agreement with you. Because the number of occasions I have come across people who promise everything and they don't even have the authority to sign the agreement. Check the constitution of companies. Check the constitution of the agencies. For example, if you deal with the NHS in England, it's very hard to find out who has the power to sign and bind the hospital. So it exists everywhere, not just in your countries. If you're that concerned, you can take out political risk insurance. It's invaluable. You can take it out through government agencies. You can take it out through Lloyd's of London. If you're dealing with the state, ask if something goes wrong, you can commence proceedings and enforce a judgment against it. Because often states, for example, Russia, China, Portugal, will not waive sovereign immunity. And you can get a judgment and you will put it on your front fireplace, on your wall, and you will look at it and you say, I've spent millions with lawyers, but I can't enforce the judgment. So you have to be very careful. Case studies. Oh, and obviously the UK government, through the Department of International Trade, encourages investment, encourages trade. It has a whole raft of initiatives and all manners of trying to assist. Again, the UK government is sometimes a bit, you have to go to the private market first. And if you can't get the protection you require there, then you apply to the UK International Development Ministry, and if they can, they will assist. During the investment, make sure that you patrol and understand what you have signed, because if you do not do that, you will have problems. One further thing, I was going to go through a case study in terms of branded hotels. I've been involved in a number of these, and the key for the host country, the developer, is to understand that you will be asked to pay an evaluation fee, which goes to the branded hotel business, for example. But that fee, it is quite significant. But if you're allowed to basically use the letter of confirmation of engagement, the heads of terms that you have been approved as a business within whichever African country, it actually helps to raise finance and investment because it's had the seal of approval from a multinational and very well-known company. I think I've got a few minutes. I do apologize. The last thing, the future. We have all understood how important Africa is. Business can be done there. But if we don't start listening to each other, understanding what we say, and it's no good for the state to insist that certain things have to be done because it will not happen. And it's no good for the investor to have its checklist and turn up and say, right, tick, tick, tick. That is not how international finance and trade works. We have to respect our respective cultures, history, traditions. And you have to understand that no bank will finance anything unless you can satisfy its criteria. And you can talk and have the best ideas, but if you do not speak the same language, or at least find a solution to an intractable or so-called intractable problem, you will not move forward. It's a tragedy, but that's how it is. And thank you all very much. And
thank you, Dimitri. That's interesting insights to care and attention when dealing overseas or in any country. Now we invite to the stage the fast-talking Mr. Jayantha Kola, Chief Executive and Founder of Convergence and Catalytic Blockchain Development.
Good afternoon, folks. So over 200 delegates from 20 plus countries, and privileged and proud to be the only Indian in the room, right? Thanks, Dr. Talib Rifai. Thanks, Ibrahim and the ITIC team. It's a privilege to be here. But what I'm going to be talking about today is not about India or the great country, but technologies, right? One of the challenges of being the last subject matter presenter in a conference is that, and especially when you're talking about technology, is that most of what you want to awe the audience with, most of your previous speakers have already done that, right? So, starting with, Dr. Buhalis yesterday and what Angela spoke about in terms of future of hotels. So most of the use cases that I want to talk about have already been spoken about in terms of technology and tourism. And so what I'm going to do, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm wired to look at things positively and, hustle and make the best of the situation. So I'm going to be, taking words of wisdom from most of the speakers since yesterday morning and weave that into my presentation to make my point. So quick 30 seconds, what does Convergence Catalyst do and why am I here? Convergence Catalyst is a research and consulting firm. We are management consultants, focused specifically on, emerging deep technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, advanced analytics, blockchain, and Internet of Things, and robotics. So we advise companies on their product roadmaps and business plans, and how to take them to market. So that's what we do. And today, I just want to talk about two things. If there are two takeaways that you guys are going to take from my presentation, is that, what are deep technologies, okay? And in the context of tourism, and your investment strategies when it comes to investing in these technologies, for the tourism sector. These are just the two things that I want to, give you guys today. And let's start. Do you guys realize that, right now there are 12 different platforms on which, digital technologies have touch points with every consumer, okay? So across platforms. So data is being collected, mined, and personalized experiences are being given using all these, all these multiple platforms. And, I would want to paraphrase what Minister Balala said yesterday, that, there's perceived threat and there's real threat. In the case of technology and data mining, there's perceived threat versus, real value and opportunity. And I wanted to today focus on real value and opportunity. So most of these touch points that you saw are powering these technologies. And these 6 technologies are very key in the tourism industry: advanced analytics, artificial intelligence and machine learning, Internet of Things, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, right? So now I want to, talk about deep technologies, right? I mean, why are some of these evolving, cutting-edge technologies are going to be deep? So if you look at it, over 100 years ago, electricity was invented, okay? About 35 years ago, mobile communications was invented. 30, 40 years back, if someone would have told you that you're surrounded by radio waves and you can pluck out a small device from your pocket and talk to your friends from around the world, you would have laughed at people, right? And then, location-based services is something similar, and so is cloud computing. The key characteristics of these technologies is that they are extremely complex and sophisticated technologies unto themselves, but they all sit at the background and power various use cases and applications across industries and sectors, right? Providing humongous amount of value. And we've seen this, basis these technologies in the last few decades, billion-dollar companies and trillion-dollar industries have been set up. Going forward, we believe that these four technologies, advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, IoT, and blockchain, are going to be the deep technologies. And they're not going to be taking 100 years. In the next 3 to 5 years, these are going to be the deep technologies. They're going to be at the background, extremely complex, tech in each of them, but they're going to be powering a lot of use cases and applications and providing humongous amount of value, right? So in the context of tourism sector, right, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'd like to mention, yesterday Mr. Gerald Lawless said that someone quipped to him that in the last 40 years, the only innovation that the hotel industry has seen is, roll the toilet paper into a triangle. You know what? Actually, that's not true. If you look at something called as differential pricing, right? Differential pricing is actually a contribution of the airline industry and the hotel industry to the technology world. I mean, since 2004, Hiltons and Marriotts have been changing their room prices on an average of twice a day, right? And that has been extended with technology platforms to Uber, to Deliveroo, to Uber Eats, everything that you see today. No two Uber rides from the same place at two different times that you book is the same. There's going to be a small difference, okay? So it's a combination of supply, demand, and 100 other parameters. So differential pricing engines actually originated and came from the tourism and the hospitality industry to be now going forward, going to be powering everything that we're going to be doing and the millennials' lifestyle, essentially, powered by powered by tech platforms. So yeah, and various other things that advanced analytics, AI, ML can power in tourism. I'm not going to go through all of them. A lot has been spoken about since yesterday on these. Blockchain, my favorite tech. Every time I speak about blockchain, everybody asks me, how different is it from cryptocurrency and the entire negative perception about cryptocurrency. First of all, blockchain is not just cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency happens to be one of its first application, but we see 32 other industries outside of finance where blockchain is being used to come up with excellent, products and solutions. And what is blockchain, right? Its characteristics, it's decentralized, it takes the middleman out, it's open and transparent, it's great for audit and reconciliation, it's trustworthy, it's secure for transactions, and it's immutable, gives permanence and accountability. There are a bunch of case studies that I want to talk about on blockchain, but I'm pressed for time. You can catch me offline. Would love to speak on each of them an entire day, right? So yeah, blockchain, Internet of Things and robotics. Again, a few examples of how robotics is being used. Yesterday, Dr. Talib Rifai said, travel industry caught up with technology so late, we put man on the moon before we could put two wheels on a suitcase. Well, technologists did put 4 wheels on a suitcase and put a sensor in it and convert it into a robot. So you see TravelMate there? That's a robo suitcase that follows you. You don't have to drag it along, right? So these are some of the things that are happening, using digital technologies. And so happy to talk about all of them. Now coming to my last slide. Future-proofing your investments in deep tech, right, in the tourism sector. As investors, what is it that you guys have to, look out for and put your money in, put your time, money, energy, invest in, right? I have 3 things to talk about on that, 3 tactics. Number 1, invest in scalable platforms, not just products and solutions. So using these cutting-edge technologies, a lot of companies, big and small, are going to come and present their offerings to you, but invest in platforms, because each of these technology is a platformized technology, right? It has a lot of things to offer on the supply and the demand side. If you look at tourism industry, one of the biggest issues that technologists face is that we are not able to change our IT platform because we invested it in 4 years back. We can't reinvest in it again. So going forward, that's something that you're going to be facing because all these technologies are fast evolving, right? So make sure that when you're investing, invest in platforms, scalable, and not just products, okay? And the second thing, most important thing that you guys need to do is build a team around, digital transformation or deep tech. Have a chief deep technology officer on board at a C level, right? 100 years ago, an electrician was a C-level guy in a hotel, the guy who fix a bulb, right? Today, the guy who understands artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and what it can, do for your company, what value it can offer, is extremely important. And empower him, and also build out a multifunctional team under him. Guys from sales, marketing, customer service, hospitality operations, so that they can bring in, their problem statements and opportunities, and this guy can give them a technology-based solution. So it's going to be a continuously evolving, and this needs to be an in-house team. So that's the second investment, criteria that you're looking out for. And the last, this is something we as Convergence Catalyst and management consultants very strongly believe in. Going forward in the next 3 to 5 years, the innovation in technology is going to be plateauing, and it's going to get commoditized. It's going to be available for everyone. The actual innovation is going to be in ancillary business models and revenue models, and that's where we push all our investors that we consult for to invest in. I'll give you an example, right? Let's say in a hotel you have a facial recognition-based check-in, right? A camera that does facial recognition-based check-in. Now, what if that particular camera, while doing the check-in, reads the person's face and sees the paleness in the skin and goes ahead and diagnoses that the person has anemia or even early stages of skin cancer, or the way that person is walking inside the hotel, the CCTV camera says that 5 years down the line, he's going to get arthritis. This is not 10 years down the line. These models, based on computer vision algorithm, are available today. So, or very simple, in your industry, what if, people walking in with, Chanel or Gucci handbags, okay, your algorithm knows that X number of people carry Chanel handbags, so the retail space that you want to rent out needs to be to Chanel or to its competitor. That's a business decision. So, you guys are sitting on a lot of data and insights that your technology products and platforms are generating. There needs to be a full-time guy who's sitting and thinking about how to make money out of this innovatively. Partnership models, innovative partnership models need not come from your immediate value chain or immediate partners, can come from anywhere in the, in the world. So breaking down the playbooks. That's my time, that's me. Catch me if you want to know more. Thank you.
I told you he was the fast-talking Jayanta Kola. And the key, of course, often to public speaking is to speak a little more slowly and enunciate very clearly, but he does an amazing job. Thank you, Jayanta. Anyway, I must be off the stage very quickly too, as we move to our next speaker, and we've met him already yesterday, but it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Saleh Saeed, Chief Executive Officer of the Blue Amber Project Zanzibar, to tell us more about what he's doing there.
Wise men say only fools take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, for I can't help falling in love with you.
Do I still need to talk? Oh, should I just collect the money now? So Dr. David Livingstone called it the most beautiful place on earth. I call it my home. I'll start by telling you a little bit about Zanzibar. It's 2,464 square kilometers with a 1.3 million population. Zanzibar's GDP is 860 million with, we currently use Tanzanian shillings. A dollar is approximately 2,360 shillings. Financial and political sustainability. Zanzibar, a lot of people mistakenly, when they look up Zanzibar, they look up Tanzania. Zanzibar is how do you put it? Is part of the Union of Tanzania, but we have our own president and our own laws that govern Zanzibar. So if you do decide to look up Zanzibar, please look up Zanzibar and don't look up Tanzania, because we are kind of separate. Financial stability, Zanzibar's GDP is currently growing at about 7.2% per annum. Location is centrally located between Africa and the Middle East, which makes Zanzibar, which has always been very popular as the trade route for hundreds of years. The industry has enjoyed a growth of between 22 to 23%, according to the Zanzibar Tourism Authority. Inbound arrivals have continued to grow at 200% in the past 7 years. Due to this significant growth, Zanzibar now has 8 official airlines and over 20 charter companies. Zanzibar has a few international branded hotels, which means there's a huge gap for investment. Currently, the only international brands there is the Park Hyatt, DoubleTree by Hilton, and Melia. Currently, there's also another hotel coming in, which is the Four Seasons, currently under the design. Tourism economics growth in Zanzibar accommodation and food services has growth by 9.7 compounded CAGR between 2008 and 2017. Zanzibar this year is growing at 17%, so it's double digit. Oh, they already got my sign up there. 46% is the tourism contribution to Zanzibar's economy. I'm going to try and get to the Blue Amber project. Located in the northeast of Zanzibar. Blue Amber Zanzibar overview there. So our project is 411 hectares of land with 4 kilometers of beachfront property. That's the master plan. Another overview of the master plan. That's the design of the entrance of the arrival gate that's currently being constructed, which will also have the parking facility to avoid cars from going in. That building is supposed to be completed in the next 4 to 5 months. That's the first boutique hotel that we're building at the moment, which will have 50 rooms. It's part of the Newmark Hotels, due to open by 2022 with 50 luxury rooms, 65 square meters. That's the design of the hotel. Private residences that we'll be selling. Project strategy, I can't see that far. So currently we have completed 12 kilometers of the road, private roads inside, internal. We've also done the boundary walls and site clearing for the hotels. We've also brought in 5 megawatt power from the government grid, but the plan is to become self-sustained eventually. So we are looking at bringing in wind power and solar. Once the project is completed, it will be self-sustained. So also for the garbage, it will all be removed and recycled by the company. So we will also have a management company, which is ourselves, environmental sustainability. Corporate social responsibility is one of our key aspects, which is called Best of Zanzibar, which we've already pumped $2 million into the community. We'll also have a golf course designed by Ernie Els. And the Ritz-Carlton is the hotel that we are looking for financing at the moment. The project has also been awarded with a duty-free license by the government of Zanzibar. Strategic investment. So we negotiated with the government and we've been awarded as a first strategic project in Zanzibar, which gives us exemption from income tax on interest on capital borrowing, duty-free license, exemption on import duty, VAT, excise duty, and some other taxes there on construction, exemption on income tax on interest on capital borrowing, indefinite exemption. So the current income tax annually is 30%, so we've been awarded at 15% annually. And if the law changes, in which they are looking at changing it down to 20%, we will be awarded 10%. And exemption from stamp duty. Now, and 50% on deduction on capital expenditure for 10 years. It keeps going, very interesting. Income tax and dividend, I think I spoke about that already. For the residents, for the villas that we are selling, so tax residence benefits, eligible for residence permits on properties on purchased, personal taxation on local income reduced down to 15%, zero tax from worldwide income, zero capital gains tax, no stamp duty. Thank you very much.
Saleh. I'd like just to make a point at this stage that all our speakers this morning will be available later and in the afternoon for one-to-one meetings. So if you would like to make an appointment, please see my colleague, Mr. Philip Cash. Philip, if you could just come forward a little bit, so I think everybody knows you by now, but if you contact Philip, if you want to see any of our speakers, he'll organize that appointment for you. And we now move to our next speaker, Mr. Georg Svetlansky from Thracian Cliffs, who's going to tell us about the Marriott project there in Bulgaria and other opportunities. So, Georg.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Georg Svetlansky. I'm the principal investor and the developer behind Thracian Cliffs Golf and Beach Resort in Bulgaria. The story started in 2006 when a group of investors decided that Bulgarian Black Sea coast deserves a different future, the future of high-end tourism. I would like to draw your attention to a short video presentation because a picture says more than 1,000 words. Please enjoy. didn't look like this 10 years ago. After a huge amount of investment and a lot of work, somebody may ask himself, where is this? Is it at somewhere in the Caribbean? Is it somewhere in the Mediterranean? Or is it in Zanzibar? But it's not. Move to the next slide. It's in Bulgaria, this small white elephant in the glass house of European Union. A country with 1,300 years of history, a country on the crossroad between Europe and Asia, the country on the Silk Road and the Chinese belt, the country with the oldest gold in Europe, the country with the second best government finances across European Union, and a country with one of the most favorable tax regimes in Europe, 10% flat tax, personal and corporate. Somebody would ask himself, okay, lovely, but how am I going to get there? As Mr. Rodriguez yesterday said, any success of any project relies first on your local demand, and then you have to look into the overseas opportunities and overseas market. On this slide, you can see that within 1 hour flying time from the international airport of Varna, which is the naval capital of Bulgaria, the resort is only half an hour drive from there, you have a reach of 120 million people. Within 2 hour flying time, you have 270 million people. Within 3 hour flying time, which is London and Moscow, not to talk about the Middle East, you have 500 million people. This is the richest part of the world with highest spending power per capita. So that's where Thracian Cliffs is, an effortless accessibility. Bulgarian government was trying to respond to the ever-growing demand in tourism sector by leasing the Varna International Airport to Fraport. And now we have a brand new terminal at Varna Airport. We have more than 30 scheduled flights a day, and we have countless charter flights from across Europe, and more than 1.5 million passengers passing through this airport a year. This is the master plan of the resort designed by the renowned WATG as master planner and Gary Blair as one of the golf legends. What we have here, what this picture looks like. It looks like, for Londoners, it looks like a Hyde Park. It's not only the shape, but it's the size. If you want to imagine how big the resort is, this is the size of London Hyde Park. 1,045 hectares of freehold private land with 4.2 kilometers of shoreline and 2 kilometers of private beaches. The resort is surrounded by the National Reserve Area of European Nature Protected Zones Nature 2000. There is no polluting industry within 100 miles. And we've built the resort across 3 phases. You can see the middle ground, which is the golf course you watch on the video, together with a cluster of units to the west side of the main site. And phase 2, which is the plateau, which is another 250 key hotel with furthermore residential developments. Phase 3, to the left side of the screen, which is a standalone village by itself with a lot of sports facilities, shopping area. So what we've built so far, the resort is open in 2011, of which then with construction of the golf course, with construction of 145 suites, 2.5 kilometers of beachfront line, and 2,500 shopping area, tennis courts, and a few others. Let's move to the next slide. The golf course is the main asset of the resort. Obviously, the truly undulated land, the host of Volvo World Match Championship, and something which outlines Bulgarian golf as a destination is that during the summer, unlike the traditional European golf destinations like Spain, Turkey, you can really play golf while enjoying your beach holiday with your family, and not unlike in those destinations where the temperatures are above 40, so you can't play golf. This is what people and the biggest pros in the world says about Thracian Cliffs. Gary Plan, 300 golf courses designed, the most beautiful course I've ever seen in the world. The legend Graham McDowell, the winner of the Volvo World Match Play. Pebble Beach on steroids. Iconic Pebble Beach in US has been kind of compared to Thracian Cliffs. Peter Hansen, the current star of the golf, spectacular. We're operating the resort now through 90 apartments, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, split in 2 clusters, Hillside and Marina Villages, and on the rental pool basis. The other main asset of the resort are the 2 private beaches. Some people would say, well, Black Sea, is it really black? It must be dangerous. You can see from the video and from the pictures the turquoise Caribbean colored waters. Black Sea has 6 times less salty, has no tides. On those 2 beaches, we've created 2 dining venues and a lot of water sports facilities. The dining venues on Thracian Cliffs, you see 6 restaurants. This is the picture of the hanging terrace of our specialty restaurant, Getty. I've been given the sign that my time is off. So Bulgaria is most famous for its mineral water. Any successful resort cannot go around Spine Wellness Center, so we use our mineral water on site, plus the healing mud, which is in the near proximity. What we achieved, achievements of 10 years on, we have a substantial brand recognition. The Volvo Match Play in 2013 was watched by more than 1.5 billion people. This is 172 TV stations, 644 online media. We've positioned the resort among the top European golf resorts. We have achieved 30,000 guest nights with only 90 rooms apart hotel. That equates to our 72% occupancy, achieving, terribly sorry, achieving 125 euro ADR and 264 revenue per available room for only 7 months of operation. And we have developed an extensive network of golf tour operators. What's the new value added of the investments? What we want to build? We want to attract the new market segment. We have flagged the resort with Marriott and its top-tier brand, the Luxury Collection. We want to extend the season to 12 months. This is, we want to build a standalone spa facility, 4,000 square meter. We want to attract the larger international tournaments. Yes, we want to build a clubhouse which will complete the golf product that will further enhance our revenue. The substantial increase, that will all lead to the substantial increase in the current ADR from 125 to 200 euro over the next 3 years, substantial increase in our occupancy level by 2 times, and EBITDA 3.5 to 5 million euro. The investment opportunity, as I said, is 170 key hotels, split in 100 standard rooms, 60 suites, 7 villas, the clubhouse, beach club, wedding venues, other auxiliary facilities. A quick overview of the concept design: 4,000 square dedicated spa facility, 2 F&B venues, outdoor indoor pools, King's Club, all sorts of cinema, bowling rooms, and leisure activities. This is a compelling investment opportunity. What we are offering our investors, we are offering not something which is, blue sky, so something we're going to build and then people's going to come. No. We are offering something which is already established. We are offering 30,000 guest nights, and we're just building on what we have heard for the 20,000 guests being on site in our resort for the last 10 years. We are offering a history of strong income and cash generation with no debt. We are offering no development risk. We are offering high-end tourism product in the form of most recognized premium golf and beach resort on the Black Sea with very little competition across the region. We're very flexible to our investors for this opportunity to come. They may come at the hotel level, or they may come at the resort level. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Georg. Another exciting and interesting development with lots of investment opportunities. Anyone who'd like to meet Georg later, please see my colleague Philip Cash and we'll set up an appointment. We now have the pleasure of inviting back to the stage to tell us a little bit more about Zoobox, the new hotel concept, and a presentation again from Mr. Guillaume Pellerin, Chief Executive of Zoobox.
Does it test? Yeah, it works. Great, great, great. Great. So first of all, I would like to say that I'm really happy to be here. I learned a lot during those 2 days, met a lot of interesting people. There's already new projects on the way. So it was great. It was great to see you all. So I'd like to start by telling you that I used to be an outdoor guide. So my job was to bring a select few group of people in the mountains of Patagonia and in the Canadian Arctic. A great job, by the way. My life mission, my work mission has always been to connect people with nature. The problem with what I was doing is that when I was bringing, let's say, 5 people for a kite skiing trip in the Canadian Arctic and then to have tea with the Inuits, I was bringing people that were really outdoorsy already. They didn't need me to connect with nature. I mean, they were always outdoor. So after my MBA, when I met Alain, my business partner, and I saw this year, the Zoobox, it blew my mind because this is a vehicle to go in nature, but it's made for urban people. It's made for normal people. And it can allow the masses to enjoy national parks and nature. So it's done, so it's very easy to install in pretty much any areas. It's completely off the grid. There's a huge window here that completely opens. As I mentioned before, there's the hamster wheel that produces electricity to recharge your phone. Obviously, there's solar panels and windmills, so you don't have to pedal all the time to get your electricity. There's a king-size bed that comes from the roof and a bathtub that you can roll outside. It's actually more comfortable than the hotel that you will sleep in tonight, and we can install them in remote areas. So when I saw that, I saw a huge potential because I knew so many people around the world that own pristine land, a beautiful landscape, and they were doing outdoor activities, but they could not install lodging to that quality. So Alain and I started the project to go international. So in 2017, we already had an operation running in Canada that was successful with 80% occupancy rate, and it's still successful today. But in 2017, I sold all I had, moved to Dublin, and started the international branch. Now we've discovered that there is a huge potential in Africa, and it's something we didn't see coming at the beginning. There's new national parks coming in Africa, and they have world-class scenery. They have landscapes that I've traveled a lot, and I never saw such a beautiful landscape. So I'll give you an example. This is the Mackay National Park. And one of their biggest problems is that people around the park are burning forests for agriculture, and it's menacing the very fragile ecosystem of the park. Now, they don't have a lot of funding to be able to protect the entire park, and when they receive funding, it's gonna last 1 or 2 years, and then it's gonna be gone, and they have to go again. But they do have a world-class scenery. They have something that we can sell. So what we're doing with them is, you can imagine on this landscape, we're gonna build a welcoming center and 10 Zoobox units. So I want to bring you a bit in the experience we're creating. So you're gonna land at the airport. We're gonna pick you up with a Defender. You come there, you enjoy local cuisine, local wine, and you sleep in a fully equipped zoo box with this amazing view. And you're talking about the trip that you'll have in the park. The morning after, you walk 3 hours to get to the top of the first mountain, and you have a 360 view on the entire park. And that's where you'll reach the second station, when you also have your own private zoo box and a kitchen where we'll cook local meals. And you can observe the entire park and say, oh, tomorrow we're gonna visit the canyons, we're gonna see the Lemurians, we're gonna go to a private lagoon, because there's a lot of amazing lagoons, and you're the only one in the parks. There's absolutely nobody there. And you finally opt for the wow experience, the experience that brings people there. A balloon trip over the park to get to your next station. So every time we do a project, we try to figure out what's really unique about this place. What can we sell to people that are in New York or Shanghai, and they'll see that on the web and they'll say, I'm gonna travel all the way there just to live this. So this is what we're doing in Madagascar with the Makai National Park. Now, a usual partnership with a park would mean that we invest a little, the local park invests a little, and together we can raise funding from bigger funds like the Green Fund or the African Development Fund, which minimizes greatly the risk for our investors and allows us to big world-class projects. So this is a few examples of the projects that are signed. So we have a 60-unit project signed in Canada near the Offord National Park. We have a 50-unit project in the Azores. Now the Azores is a multi-site project, so you can island up and see different experience on different islands, and we can sell the whole package. So this is a different approach. It's completely private. It's held by the Azorean government, but we had private investors in it. And what's really interesting with our concept is that we get planning permission, especially in Europe, in places where no other project would ever get planning permission. So to get access to pristine real estate value. This is in Ireland, where you can eat a fresh plate of mussels from the Killary Fjord and have a Guinness after if you want. There's also the Connemara National Park just beside. And the Ivory Coast is the biggest project at the moment, so we're working with the Ivory Coast Tourism Ministry, and the idea here is to have many sites and also wow. So you see this floating station. The idea is to bring you over the canopy for one night, so you can see the sunrise and the sunset over the entire canopy of the park, and that's something that will drag people to fly all the way there. That's in Cameroon, where you can have live gorilla encounter in the forest. You can be literally 1 meter away from a gorilla family. And right now, we're looking to get an investor on board in 2020 to sustain the growth. So we're looking for 30 million. There's 15 million that is for real estate investment. After that, we're going to invest in business development, but also in R&D to make sure that all the units are suitable for every climate, because we have projects all over the world now. And the rest is reserves, because we have people coming to us for other projects, and we need to be able to kickstart them later. So we actually plan in our first business plan 80 units signed for this year. In 2018, it was 60, and now it's 370 units. So that's why we're looking for funding, because there's a lot of job to be done, and we'll need somebody to help us with building a network and getting the operations running in our factory in Dublin, for example, where we started building. So if you want to join a ecotourism network that is based on the best sceneries in the world, and you want to really use tourism for the greater good, as an investor or as a partner, a national park or a private developer, come talk to us. We'll be happy to answer any questions. And if there's a fit, we'll be happy to welcome you in the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guillaume. So, of course, not only are they seeking investment, but they're also looking for projects. And I can think of a few countries that might be, who are here today, who will be interested in some ZooBox project. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to number 5 on our list. We're counting down towards lunch. And we welcome to the stage Mr. Sean Winter, who's the Chief Executive of Voya. They combine business and travel and foreign VAT refunds. Sean.
Good afternoon. As the only Springbok rugby supporter, I'm a little bit scared to say it, but very proud of the guys for this morning, and we'll catch the game. Nice. Another one in the crowd. But congrats to England. I'm going to watch the game a bit later. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak today. I'm speaking about Voya. It's a company that I'm extremely passionate about. Particularly in light of the fact that we are planning to expand into Africa and that we're based in Grand Bay, which is the epicenter of Mauritius tourism. I think to be successful as a country attracting tourists, or whether you're an incumbent travel company trying to retain customers, or an entrepreneur trying to carve a new market share, you have to differentiate. You have to have something different and package it to people in such a way. You have to have a niche, and Voya's niche is foreign VAT refunds. Quick show of hands, how many traveled from abroad into the UK? Plane, train, doesn't matter, but if you traveled from abroad. Okay, not too many. Next question, are you aware that you can actually reclaim the foreign VAT on the conference invoice or the hotel invoice from Her Majesty's government? Okay, so there's very few companies that actually realize this around the world, and that's essentially what we do. So companies that travel into the EU or intra-EU, you can claim back VAT on the business expenses. So I'm not talking about the personal stamping at the airport. That's goods. That's a personal directive. This is a business directive, and it relates to VAT on hotels, restaurants, taxis, conferences. The list goes on and on. But the VAT authorities, to actually get the VAT back, they're very strict with hotel invoices. So the compliancy factor, they're extremely strict with. I used to work in the foreign VAT industry, and I used to get so incredibly frustrated in that 95% of the time when a travel agent books your hotel for you, you can't get a VAT-compliant invoice. Likewise, expecting a business traveler to ensure that the invoice is compliant when they're leaving the hotel, it just doesn't happen. You know, they're busy people, they're not going to check that invoice for compliancy. So that's why I started Voya. It's the first company globally that marries foreign VAT refunds with business travel. And, you know, we've got an understanding of that, and we've got an understanding of travel. So what we've done is we've built a VAT engine where if you book with Voya, we guarantee you a VAT-compliant invoice, and we refund you the VAT. So just think about it. Whether you're in China, Mauritius, South Africa, if you're traveling into Europe and you book your travel with Voya, we are going to save you up to 25% on your business travel in regards to hotels, restaurants, etc. Now, the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last 3 years as an entrepreneur in the space is to stay focused. So in the beginning, we had such a great concept, and I was traveling all around Europe, and we were signing partnerships in Israel, South Africa, Switzerland, Poland, and Czech. But to be very honest with you, it was actually a mistake. We were too thinly spread, and what ended up happening is we almost had like a half-baked solution, you know, across a lot of different countries, which wasn't really what we wanted. So I got the team together and I said, what we need to do is we need to create an African-centric product, still with VAT as our core, but an African-centric product, and get one place route in its entirety, which was Mauritius because we were based there. And once we get that right, then take the model and replicate it in other African countries. So I'm very proud to say that in Mauritius, I haven't got too many slides, I'm going to do more talking, but in Mauritius, we're growing now at 30% a month. We've definitely cemented ourselves as the new kids on the block. Travel agents who were our friends are no longer our friends because we're stealing business. And we've developed a robust consumer-grade solution for companies to better manage their travel, but it still allows them to book on Booking.com, Expedia, and other leisure sites, because that's how African corporates book their travel. So just quickly, why does Voya believe that there's massive potential in Africa? The first question that has to be answered is, how do businesses actually book travel in Africa? If you look at flights, there's a lot of online travel, but there's still a travel agent relationship a lot of the time, especially on long-haul flights and then your multi-leg flights. People are prepared to pay a service to have that kind of peace of mind. But on the hotel side, that's not the case. On the hotel side, if you look at businesses, SME all the way to kind of low enterprise level, they're using leisure sites to book their travel. They're using Booking.com, they're using Expedia, they're using Hotels.com. That really suits Voya because that's how we built our product. So I'm going to give you a quick example. This is how our sales team will set up a meeting in Mauritius. We find the prospect, and the typical conversation is, hi there. We've obviously done our research and we say, do you do any travel to Europe on an annual basis? And the answer is typically at least 4 times a year. So we say, fantastic, we're going to save you 25% on your travels by getting the VAT back on hotels, restaurants, etc. At this point, they're very excited to engage further with us. So we come with a follow-up question, which is, do your business travelers use Booking.com to book travel? And the answer is invariably yes, we know that. And we say, well, we've got great news on that front as well. Our tool is integrated with Booking.com, so you get your familiar experience, but you also get your benefits of Voya. So I think, in conclusion, Voya, through our niche and through our differentiation, it's just really easy for us to sit down in front of a customer, get new customers engaging with us, and from that point, we're just a normal travel agent. So the VAT becomes actually less relevant, but it gets us in the door to start building relationships with clients. I think what's also interesting is that typically travel agents earn 7% commission on gross booking value. We earn northwards of 14%, and the reason is we got 2 revenue streams. So we're making money from travel, and we're also making money from the VAT industry. 2 more comments about Africa, and then I'm going to wrap up. I think, when we're looking at what markets to tackle next, Africa is extremely exciting. It's growing quickly. The hardest part for us is actually choosing which countries we want to go to. There's so many opportunities. Foreign VAT refunds is virtually unknown. So with our niche, we really believe we can capture, a huge segment of the markets that we go into. And one more point, if you look at travel platforms, business travel platforms developed in San Francisco, developed in Barcelona, they're absolutely fantastic, but they're not built for Africa. Voya is built for Africa. So what next for Voya? We don't want to grow organically. It's just going to be too slow. So a central theme, I think, throughout the conference was one of the key points to success in Africa is local partnerships. You have to get that right in your business model. And we're talking and networking at events like these to find the right partners and the right investors who share the Voya ethos and share our vision and can help Voya grow into a major African success story. So thank you for your time. I think that was on the dot 10 minutes. And if you do want to set up a one-on-one conversation later, I'd be more than happy. Thank you so much.
the timely Sean from Voya, looking to do business in your country, in Africa and elsewhere around the world. Now it's time to welcome our last presentation of the morning. Two ladies, they're going to talk about shaping smart futures in responsible tourism in Africa and the Caribbean. And to talk to us are Ms. Manal Kilg of the Africa Adventure Travel and Tour Association. She's Director for the Middle East and North Africa, and Ms. Gabriela Stoll, who's the Regional Director, Latin America and Caribbean. So, Manal and Gabriela, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your patience and for waiting. We were worried yesterday that we'd be actually talking to each other, so we're happy to see some faces in the room. I have to say before we start, so we are not investors and we are not looking for investors. It's different in our case. The Adventure Travel Trade Association is more like the next step after the investors and the destinations get together. We are here to show how these visions of deciding we are going to do business together, but how to change this into reality that will then coincide and align with what the travelers are saying and what are the needs of the planet. And to show you that, Gabby will start first with telling you a bit about our activities as Adventure Travel Trade Association, and then we'll share with you some of the numbers that tells you the realities of what the travelers are looking for and what the destinations need.
Thank you, Manal. Good afternoon. Hang in there, we're almost lunchtime. First of all, thank you, the organizers, for this beautiful event, and thank you, Talab, for this invitation. So quickly, just so you understand, we are the Adventure Travel Trade Association. We are not the African Association. There is another ADA there, but we are the Adventure Travel Trade Association. We are a global organization with more than 1,400,000 members all over the world, more than 100 countries represented. We have countries and members, tour operators, media, gear. We are the network for this niche of travel, and I'll explain a little bit more about adventure. So what is adventure? And a lot of people think I'm talking about crazy people on bungee jumpies and extreme tourism. Actually, most of this activity is soft adventure. 90% of the people go on hikes and bike rides, which is the two most common activities. So any destination can actually have adventure as its element. If you see there on the definition, we have three important elements: nature, activity, and culture, the people, with the experiencing being the main important thing. So, rural travel, ecotourism, everything could be adventure for us. So I want you to have that in mind. When I talk about adventure, I'm talking about a very more broad than people think. On the right there, you can see what people look for. They're looking for something unique. There are a lot of millennials traveling, and they want something that is novelty and that is unique. But they're also worried about wellness. They're worried about the impact they cause when they travel. Also, they're searching for some transformation, meaning they want to learn something also when they travel. They just don't want to travel for the sake of traveling. They want to bring something home with them after. And they do like a little challenge. We do like to leave our comfort zone a little bit when we go on a trip. So it's not the hippies. This industry do move a lot of money. It's growing way faster than the normal tourism is growing. The mass tourism is growing. 2017, you can see that. $683 billion. So it's an important industry. This is a graphic that I really want you guys to pay attention to. It shows, it's a study we did with the World Bank in Jordan, and it shows the impact and the amount of people that you need to bring to a destination to leave $10,000 in the destination. So the first one in the left is the more mass tourism, is the cruise industry. Look how many people you need to bring so that you can get $10,000 staying in your destination. The other is the overnight packed tourism, and then on the right is the adventure travel. So bringing less people but leaving more money generates less impact on your destination. So think about that. Also, if you compare mass tourism, 14% or less, some studies shows 11%, 10 stays in the destination, compared to eco, adventure, this niche of tourism with less people, but in more impact on your destination, 65, 67% stays in your destination. And again, generates more jobs than the mass tourism and generates a lot of jobs in the communities because these people are going to visit your communities and a lot of jobs for women, so it's an important industry. So all of this to say, what we are here to talk to the destinations and think what type of tourism you want to grow in the future, what type of investors you want to bring to your country, because it's your home, it's your people. So that's what we want to talk to you. The traveler itself that travels in this type of tourism, these are a spectrum of what they're looking for. The left one being the more hot one, they're looking for that transformation. So it is the experience. They don't want to go and sit in a resort that could feel like any resort in the world. They do want to go interact and have a cooking class in your community. They want to learn about your history, your culture, your food, your dance. They also, they worry about the environment. They are respectful. So these are what they're looking for. They're looking for connecting with the locals, which is really important, bringing the pride for your population and keeping your traditions alive. I will hand out to Manal to give some emphasis on our studies for Africa.
So what Gabby shared with you was what do the travelers want? So we actually do research on the trends of the consumers, of the travelers, and we see what they want. Then we go back and we match it with what do the tour operators and the buyers report. We need to make sure that this data is real. So our latest report was done in April 2019, trying to understand, so when they sell, is this meeting what the traveler asked for? So the traveler asked for certain activities to be there. When it's done, do they get the business? And it was very interesting in April 2019 to see the numbers for Africa. The numbers of the reported travelers sold to African destination was higher than other destinations when compared from April 2018 to April 2019. And when we say Africa, we include North Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa. Other tour operators do distinction by destination, but it's actually quite a jump when you see how much ahead it is. One of the interesting things where Africa has made a lot of progress is the ratio of guide to traveler. The ratio of guide to traveler, for every 5 travelers, there's 1 guide. The year before, it was 19:1. And apparently this has made a big difference and improvement in the quality of experiences that it has delivered. Where do these travelers come from? Again, for Africa, we found that a majority of these bookings that were done per tour operator, and by the way, this was a survey done for approximately 210 tour operators, the majority of their business was mainly coming from Europe, and then you can see the other destinations that they came from. Now, who are these travelers? And I remember yesterday, Suzanne was telling me, are they mainly youth? Are the adventure travelers mainly youth? And they're not. As you can see again in these numbers, the division, the gender, the solo travelers, there's the rise of the women-only travel, there is the rise of the solo travelers, but most important of all, the age of these travelers. They're not youngsters, as you can see. 66% of them will be more of middle-aged, and they, again, want to invest in the experience. They want to invest in certain activities. These are the activities they asked for to see it in every destination, and they saw that these are the activities that are going to make a difference. So when you take this information, what do you do with it? Gabby, can you fill in?
So the slide there, the traditional ways of calling success in the tourism industry, maybe the heads in bed, the numbers of arrivals, is that the right way that we should think about success in tourism? At what cost? No? And this is a graphics from Chile. And we are working really close with Chile, the ATTA. And you can see on the first line going up super steady is the number of arrivals. And then the other one, the bars, is the amount of money staying in the destination. So they're getting more people, but the money is not staying. And all these people getting to your destination, there is some impact. You know, people go to the bathroom, people need to produce trash. So my call for you guys, especially the destinations, is to think that not necessarily more tourism, but better tourism. You know, Taleb mentioned that we need to keep growing. We need to keep involving the communities on that. I totally agree. So think about it. Let's grow, but let's grow caring about our communities and our environment. So this photo, I would like to ask you guys, where is this place? Any idea? So it's actually 3 different places. The first one on the left is Fiji. The one on the right, on the top, is Jamaica. And the one in the bottom is Madagascar. Why I'm putting that there? Because beautiful places are everywhere. What makes your destination unique is this, is your people. And then, so the visitors should be able to interact with the community, the community should be able to benefit from the tourism. They should be able to get those dollars, they should be able to enjoy the beach. So these are the people from Fiji, from beautiful Jamaica, and from Madagascar. Also, this is, Honorable Minister, we talked about the food from Jamaica. I was just there, and it is really special. So the 3 different foods, from Fiji on the top, Jamaica, and then Madagascar. So, you know, going back, you can think it's one single place, you can think it's the same place. It's not. So make sure that when you develop your tourism and you get your investments, you bring people to learn where they are, to connect with the food, to connect with the people. So imagine, innovate, think about the future of your destination. Think about the community, involve the community. Please, they are very important. Also, think about experiences, not product. Remember that transformation, remember that connection with the local community. And codes of conduct. This I love to hear because it's okay to tell the tourist, your guest, that's why they're called guests, to respect your destination, to respect your people. It's okay to let them know what they can or cannot do. If they can't leave trash on the beaches or whatever, it's okay to tell them. And I would like you guys to think about that. What type of tourism you want to invest and grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manal and Gabriela. Fast-paced presentation. Now, at this point, I was about to do my part of the wrap-up and invite our Advisory Board Chairman to the stage. However, I've been asked to introduce just one more presentation, and so never say that ITIC doesn't give you more. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to welcome Eduardo Domenech to the stage. He is the Global Business Development Director of Tourism. They operate a tourism optimizer platform, and they're specialists in governmental and institutional travel. They're also looking for investment, I understand, and so here is Eduardo to tell you about his project.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I know you're all starving, so I'm going to try and make it as brief as I can. What you're seeing here is something that we presented a couple of weeks ago in Kazakhstan during the Global Summit on urban tourism, so we haven't had time to change the presentation. Tourism Optimizer was born 4 years ago with the support of the UNWTO with Mr. Talib Rifai to identify and define within the tourism a new concept, a concept that we called governmental and institutional travel and tourism. This concept, obviously, as you can imagine, is regarding governments from all over the world. Within this concept, what we've done is create a sort of ISO, a standard, which regulates all the flows and behaviors of governments from all over the world when they're traveling. Obviously, each government has their own specificities, but in the general norm, they all have kind of the same general requirements when they're traveling to each destination. So as I said, the new concept. 4 years ago, we started this, and today we have all the support tools needed to consolidate this new ecosystem. This is the standard. As you can see here, we have the publication. I forgot I had a clicker in my hand, and this is a short video that kind of explains the project over the last 4 years. So as you were able to see in the video, we created an ecosystem of support tools to consolidate this new concept within the tourism industry. The first one is, obviously, as it is a new concept, we need to educate people within the industry on this new concept, not only future generations, but also the current generation right now, whether it be students, current professionals in the sector, even experts, or even within the proper governments, diplomats, and governmental officials through different types of courses. It's very important that you know that these training programs are certified by UNITAR, which is the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. Certification, we've also created certification programs for suppliers to become certified within the sector and be able to position themselves in front of more than 150 governments, member states of the UNWTO, and any other government which is currently not part of the UNWTO but interested in positioning themselves as well. But the most important part of this is not only certifying suppliers but also destinations. Destinations that can become valid partners to host governmental events such as the WTM, the General Assembly of the UNWTO, and any other big governmental events that take place during the years. We've also created the only current travel cancellation insurance in the world, with the first market in the world, Lloyd's, for governments to protect themselves when they're traveling. As you can know, governments have varying agendas on a constant basis, so they need to protect themselves in case they have any last-minute changes. And it's not yet available, but for next year we'll be launching as well a financing tool, a sort of bank for governments to have funds available for last-minute travel. None of this is possible without technological solutions. As you saw in the video, we've created a portal where all of these member stakeholders are consolidated and where governments will be able to find not only the right suppliers, but the best suppliers in each market when they travel to destinations where they maybe don't have the resources to find these type of services. All this is connected to management software for the travel units, where they can organize on a real-time basis every single aspect down to the task level of each of their ministers' trips, presidents, first ladies, and any other government official within the institution. This I'm going to skip because it's focused towards the urban tourism, but as I said before, you will be able to certify your destinations to position them around the world to host these type of events. And, you know, just a last-minute video to show you how the certification actually works. So I'm sorry we made this very brief. It's been very quick, but the schedule is tight. I know you all want to go to lunch, but we'll be here all week. We'll also be here during the WTM in case you're around. So please do come and look for us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Eduardo. Well, this is now bringing our conference and this session today to a close. And before I do so, I would like to pay special thanks to our Bournemouth University students who have done a sterling job for us on the registration desk and also in helping us to keep time. And Ahmed has been wonderful at that. And I particularly want to offer our very special thanks to Alicia Betoon, who is a postgrad at Bournemouth and she's been helping us to coordinate everything. She's been doing sterling job. Thank you very much, Ray. Now, to formally close and to offer a summary of what we've been listening to and experiencing and visualizing this last 2 days, a great pleasure in inviting our advisory board chairman to the podium, Dr. Taleb Rifai, and he will then also bring on our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ibrahim Ayub, and the Honourable Minister, Mr. Bartlett. Taleb.
Ibrahim? Where's Ibrahim? Gerald, do you want to come join us? Please. I know this is standing between you and lunch, but I have absolutely no feelings of guilt towards this, because what I'm going to be saying is very, very important to me, at least. I've been holding my tongue for the last 2 days, wanting to make some comments on all what has been said. So it's my opportunity to do that, so forgive me. Secondly is, you've proven to me something very, very important in the last 2 days. One is that even at 70, you can always learn new things. I've learned so much of this meeting yesterday and today. It's incredible. Yesterday and today was a very, very important conference to me. I've attended so many conferences in my life, but it's the first time I see us not talking to each other as tourism people. We don't use the same language we use every time. We're talking real life, we're talking business. That's very, very important. So please forgive me if I make you very general comments here. The content was excellent, was so rich. We may have some shortcomings on the logistics. Please forgive us if we did. So what I'd like you to do is please write to us, because next year we're going to make sure that all the mistakes, all the shortcomings that we did this time are going to be filled in. Next year is going to be something completely different. We've learned a lot from this experience. Let me start by a story. Some of you may have heard it from me, but I still want to say it again. It's okay. I don't feel guilty about it, because those of you that haven't heard it must hear it. In the year 2017, I was in an East Asian country. That country had a lady minister, like your good self, minister. She wanted to show me a very important project. So she took me. It's an island near the capital. It's an island, East Asia country. I don't want to name it now. She took me by helicopter because the investor of that project had helicopters connection between the capital and that project. When we landed there, the investor was waiting for us at the doors of the helicopter. From there, I understood that he had to buy the entire island to make sure that he can control the investment. I'm talking about investments here. Then we went around. It was a beautiful project by many standards. It's a project like Disneyland for adults. You know, you have hotels with Chinese style, hotel with Moroccan style, hotel with French style, many, many, many styles. It's a big world into one place. Hotels and restaurants and everything. What they didn't tell me at the time is that there were 90,000 people living on that island. So I got curious. I asked the investor, what has happened to these people? He said, don't worry, I'm like their father. I'm taking very good care of them. All the people that are employed in this project are from that community. I built schools, I built clinics, I opened roads, I really served them very well. So I said, fine, I'd like to go visit that community. He got a little bit nervous, but then the minister nodded with her head and she said, he must go. If he wants to go, he must go. I went there, I spent 2 hours. I came back, he was having dinner with the minister, both of them. He said, what did you find? I said, you're right. The people in that community respect you so much, which is a true thing. They appreciate what you have done, created jobs, improved their quality of life, made some changes. But, say, oh, there's a but. I said, there's a big but. What's it about? I said, I'm not sure. Listen to this very carefully. I'm not sure that their children and their grandchildren will be happy to spend their entire life serving the rich people of the world, to come back every day to their houses, to find out the difference in economic level between those that they are serving and themselves. He got a bit worried. What should I do? He said, you should send your clients to that village. He said, what are they going to see? said, don't worry, they will do it. That's exactly what I was very happy to hear from our friends from ETA. It's the people that matter at the end of the day. You can't just build walls around any project, about any investment. The lower the walls are between the investors, the investments, the project, the visitors, and the local community, the better we are. People in that community must feel that every visitor to this place is a client of theirs, not just a guest of that place. Otherwise, we'll be faced with a situation like one of the South Asian countries have faced. In a moonless night, they went and attacked a five-star hotel and burned it down. We should be very aware of these things. It's very important to articulate the relationship between the investment, the project, and the local community. It's absolutely crucial to do that. We can't anymore build five-star hotels in three-star communities. We need to raise the standards of the people around us. It's very important. Why am I saying this? Because it's one of the things I was a little bit missing until this morning in the presentations. You know, it's good to have connecting people to nature. It's absolutely important to do that. But connecting people to people is by far much more important. And I hope you keep that in mind when you do the investments that you do. Now, having said this, I'd like to also comment a little bit on some of the projects some of the presentations that were made yesterday. Professor Boholes made a fantastic project, fantastic presentation. I think he's with us, right? Dimitri, you're with us? Yes. He was worried that I would be unhappy about his conclusions. He's absolutely correct. I do not share this pessimism about the future of this world. We are going to make it. I promise you we are. To make scary scenarios about what we're living in helps us to make us work better. But let's not use that to make us not work at all. We have to keep working because we're going to do it as human beings. 2, Mizrahi, she did an excellent job in providing data and trends for Africa. Mr. Bartlett and Mr. Balala, you were our inspiration. You really were. Mr. Balala, you did great yesterday, especially on the travel advisories. Mr. Bartlett also is a wonderful person. He has so many examples to share with us, and he was a great promoter of his own country. Minister, you did great on the Women's Forum, really. You're a pride of Africa. I hope that we all look at Sierra Leone now and see something different through your eyes. Aviation was very important also. Connectivity and travel facilitation is very important. We can't promote a country if you can't reach that country, if you find difficulty in arriving there. Either visas or air connectivity are two very important elements there. Now, Saudi Arabia was a very important partner to us. I've been to Saudi Arabia. I've seen one thing I want to share with you. There is something there that's very important that's happening. I went to the hotel for the first time in my life. I found out that there are Saudis sitting behind the desk of the receptionist. I found out that there is a regulation now that no non-Saudi can be serving in a reception in any hotel. It has to be a Saudi, which is excellent. You have men and women now there taking so much pride in what they're doing. Because you can't change just to please the people, as I said yesterday. You can't just become another Italy or France or Germany. In Saudi Arabia, you have to be a Saudi. People come to see you the way you are. They want to experience you. And I think somebody said it yesterday and today. You don't need to go out of your way to change. In China, our good friend from China, Adam, I think he's still here. Adam? Okay. Must have stepped outside for a little minute. Was saying that the most important thing about trying to receive the Chinese is to speak their language. But beyond that, don't go out of your way to be Chinese, because they are Chinese the way they live. They want to come to see you as you are. That's a very, very important thing. Authenticity is absolutely crucial and important. Minister Conradi Midzi made a very important contribution yesterday about the Mediterranean. And the Mediterranean is a very important concept. It's a lake that so many civilizations have gathered around. I would still want, if Andrew Muscat is here, to show you some video at the end of this, a minute and a half, on the concert that he was talking about, where people are coming together. Music and tourism and sports are have so many things in common. They're human activities that bring people together in an incredible way. Now, today there were many, many very important presentations. St. Helena, Bahamas, Belize, Jamaica, Zanzibar, wonderful projects. But please keep in mind, don't make the walls too high between those complexes and the local community. It's very, very important. The Red Sea project as well. Then we have Ireland, Bulgaria, and Zoobox. The VAT concept is a very important concept. Top concept is very important as well. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I took so much of your time, but I have so much I wanted to share with you. We can talk about this over lunch and any other occasion. I thank you so much. I want to thank Minister Bartlett again. Thanks, Ibrahim. He did all the great work that's here. Gerald as well. Where is Gerald? Thank you.
Philippe and Paul.
Philip and Paul are the hidden soldiers that did all the good work. And today they took over and they did all the substance work. I promise you next year we'll get a better output. What I want you to do, please, please, if you can write to us any suggestions to improve this, whether it's on content or on logistics, on quality, on timing, anything that would make this event a more important event. It's the first time it's our opportunity to speak to people outside our world. Not tourism, speaking to tourism, how beautiful our sector is. It's a beautiful sector, but we need to share it with others. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Bartlett.
Thank you very much, Talib. I'm going to be just very brief in, first of all, thanking everybody for really making this a truly outstanding day and a half of fulfilling discourses, of new ideas, of best practices that we've been exposed to, and overall an opportunity for us to refresh ourselves and to go back to our destinations, invigorated and reinvigorated, to do better and to add value to our space. In closing, I want to indicate that I represent, along with Talib, we both co-chair of the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center. We also co-chair the Global Tourism Resilience Council, and we share a partnership in the ITIC. I wanted to just indicate that these three organizations have come together to provide a force not just for sustainability and resilience building, but to create a new platform for tourism development, particularly in highly vulnerable states. We will do a three-pronged program across the globe. In the case of the Resilience Center, we'll be responsible for research and development and for project development and implementation across the globe. We'll be establishing satellite centers in a number of countries, starting with Kenya next month. And Minister Balala and I will make that announcement later on tomorrow, in fact, when we have the board meeting of the center. And then the Resilience Council will be responsible for all the summits, conferences, think tank, and other kinds of agitational activities across the globe, where we bring ideas together and we bring new concepts into play to enable a better understanding of how to deal with global disruptions and how, most importantly, to recover and to thrive after recovery. And then the third, of course, is the investment seminars that will also be held across the globe. And these seminars will be led by the ITIC, and they will be focusing on building new ideas, new concepts, new systems, new processes, innovation. How do we add more value to this great industry of ours that will provide greater impact on the lives of people, creating more jobs, and creating better well-being for the people of planet Earth. The fourth, of course, is the African board that, where is, sure again? Yes? And the African board will also collaborate. So we will see, in the end, a collaboration across the globe, which will add great value to existing institutions that are doing such great jobs, like the WTTC and the UNWTO. We are ensuring that there's always a place for everyone, so that the creativity that has been a function of tourism over the years that have made us grow will also be there to bring added value to the lives of people and to make the ordinary people of the world benefit greater from the fruits of tourism. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon to everyone. Let me take this opportunity of especially thanking His Excellency Dr. Talib Rifai, who is the chairman of ITTC, and of course to Ibrahim, who was very instrumental for Sierra Leone to be part of this program, and then to all the organizers. I should first of all say that it has been most exciting for me to be here, because since I became minister 16 months ago, this is really one of the very first meetings that I've been able to sit in, and then also to interact with quite a number of distinguished people in the industry. And I'm really appreciative of that. That's going back to Sierra Leone, I am going with full knowledge of who to find, where to find it, and who to turn to, especially in difficult times. And for us, we're grateful for that, and we think it is the way to go, especially a country which has gone through tragedies and now recovering, and then, of course, trying to ensure that we pull back our energies from mining and replace that with tourism. Now, we've had quite a number of presentations, and of course, the focus has been on infrastructure, quite a lot of focus on infrastructure, in terms of hotel constructions, in terms of big businesses, and then also in terms of the management of the tourism sector. But I should say, behind all of those are people. People matter. People, places, events, sights, and sounds. And I think that is really what unites all of us. And if it does unite us, then it means we should be in a situation wherein we can be able to ensure that we support countries that are coming up, like Sierra Leone, countries which are trying to ensure that they increase their revenue, they deal with poverty issues, but then at the same time create jobs, and then also use that window of opportunity for tourism to be the vector of driving growth, sustainable peace, and development. And that is really what I'm seeing here today. Now, I have spoken quite a little about Sierra Leone's investment opportunities. It may not be too different from many different countries, but what makes it really different is the fact that it's a country in West Africa. It's a very small country. It has huge potentials. It has what it takes for it to become any other developed tourism destination in the world. So I should say that the knowledge gained, the information received, the friends I have made, the partnerships I have made, is all going to contribute to changing the landscape of tourism, not only in Sierra Leone, but then also in West Africa. I am particularly passionate by the fact that this particular conference made space for women, for women's voices to be heard. This is the very first conference at the international level that have been able to talk about women's issues in tourism. I'm not saying it's not happening, but at this level of linking tourism investment to the energies of women and how that can change lives of families and improve women's vulnerability in society. And I want to appeal to everyone that this is a very important subject. It's a very, very important subject because of the fact that at the end of the day, you're looking for impacts. You're looking for results. You want good tourism, no matter which level of investment. There is need to support vulnerable population because that makes the investment to stay. That gives it stability. It should be an investment that should change the lives of people in those communities and to be able to explore the natural resources that they have. So you turn those tragedies into opportunities. And then you also ensure that you give those countries hope that we are looking forward to something. For me, I have hope. I thought maybe becoming minister in a country where tourism has been left behind for far too long and trying to see how we can make our space in the world was a difficult task. But today I'm going with hope. I know I have friends. I know I have people. I know people have listened to our story. And I know you are going to follow us as well. And I know we are going to do well. So thank you very much. Thank you all, and God bless us all.
So I'm going to be the last speaker. I don't know, excellent, I don't know what to say because of so many good words. I don't know where all the good words come, but it is all the work that we have been doing for the past few weeks, months. But I would just say that we started this project 3 years ago in 2016, and now we are 2019. It's a new baby that was born and it's growing. And we can say that today we can see that this is forming part. What we wanted to do, the initial idea was to come on a platform to bring policymakers, government, investors, project owners, law firms, private equity firms, and all the other stakeholders to come together and to discuss topical issues, challenges in investment, and how can we facilitate investment into projects. I mean, our conversation past 2 days are, we are not different countries, we are all friends. It's all people around the world, we are all friends. It's not, I am from Saudi Arabia, I'm from Mauritius, I'm from Jamaica, we are all citizens of the world. I think that is very important. People matters, friendship, partnership, and we want investment in bankable projects. And how it will improve lives of the people, very important. Dr. Rifai explained a little bit about in Philippines, the good idea, how the community is getting involved, how SMEs are going to bring up, increase more job and building up more their indirect jobs themselves and improve lives of the people. So that's what tourism is about. And it's also tourism, we have seen, is not taken as an important industry sector. I would say tourism feeds a lot of other sectors. You know, through tourism, it's not just leisure, not just relaxing, not just having fun on the beach, but it's also helping creating jobs. It's one of the 10 jobs in the world. It's one of the biggest contributor in FDI, countries starting from 8 to 15% of contribution in FDI. It's also creating, bringing more projects to other sectors. I mean, you look about the construction sector, the food sector, the manufacturing sector. You know, all that is important, what tourism is contributing to, right? So to end to close this conference, I would like also to thank our main sponsor, Invest Saudi, who has been of a very good contribution, and also Saudi Arabia is opening up to the world and it's becoming closer to the world. I think we have seen yesterday on the interview of Sultan Al Mufti about all the benefits, about all the incentives Saudi Arabia is offering. Africa, island nations have been part of the conference. We would like also to thank St. Helena, who has been one of the sponsors, Intercontinental, for their very good job with us, and also the Bournemouth University students who have been integral to this project. Also to thank Minister Balala, who is our Vice Chairman of Advisory Board, Elena Coutura, who is now MEP, Minister from Sierra Leone, Minister Bartlett, Minister Conrad Midzi, and also the ITIC team. Now we have a good team. Since we launched last year, we have a very good team, Gerald Lawless, Philippe Cash, Paul Hoskins, and all the ITIC team and Daiichi team who has been part of this build-up where we are today. And also, I would like to thank Rajan Datta from the BBC, who has been We would like also to thank Sally, also who has been here with us yesterday, and Daniela Wagner, who has not been able to make it today. She has been amazing from the opening up to the closing. And of course, Diana, with her team of Masai London, has been really fantastic, wonderful. And also the delegates. I mean, it's Saturday today. We had the World Cup. I think South Africa is very proud. How many South Africans are among us? 1, 2. Unlucky for UK, right? But Africa has won today. So great. I would like to now invite you for next year's conference. Let's make this conference to become bigger and stronger, and maybe next year we will reap more benefits from it. Thank you so much. One last thing, maybe. It's not last, not least. I miss one person. The most important person to thank is Taleb Rifai. Let me say one word about this man. Taleb, I would call him, he's a mentor, he's my mentor, I can say. Minister Balala said, I want to become like him. I want also to become like him when I get older. And he's a godfather of the tourism industry. I think so his contribution has been, I can't explain about his contribution in tourism sector. And I think he will remain among us as one of the most important person in the tourism sector, and we learn every day from him. Thank you so much, Dr. Rifai. And I would like also to thank this gentleman, Isham Zaju, former minister of Egypt, and who is now changing hats, is now working in the consultancy in the investment sector, and also helping how to bring investment into different projects. Because without money, without investment, you can't make it, right? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.